Now the Diamondbacks going to go to the bench here. And here comes Pavin Smith to try and be a hero off the bench.
High in the air, deep center field. Pavin Smith, goodbye! First career walk-off, home run or hit for Pavin Smith. And the fourth Diamondback walk-off win this year. Who's got a craving for Pavin?
Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plugs Arizona Diamondbacks recap for May 28th through June 9th, 2024. I'm Chris Patrick, that's VSP Tallman, and we're here to break it all down for you. In the last 2 weeks, the Arizona Diamondbacks have gone 6-7 over 4 series played. This put them at 31-35 on the season, still fourth in the NL West, but technically only one game out of being tied for a wild card seed. So right there in the hunt. But we start this recap on the road with a quick 2-game World Series rematch with the Texas Rangers. And in Game 1, the Diamondbacks came out the gate hot, jumping to an early 2-0 lead in the second inning. But that was the only offense for the Snakes, and the Rangers sealed the win with a 3-run Corey Seager home run in the 5th. Picking up right where they left off in Game 2, the bats stay cold for the Diamondbacks as their first and only run wouldn't come until the 9th inning, and the Rangers get the sweep, winning 6-1 in Arlington. Continuing the road trip, it was off to New York for a long 4-game series with the Mets. The Snakes would drop the first 2 games in this one and extend their losing streak to 5 games. But it would seem enough was enough, and the Diamondbacks were able to win the last 2 games and split the series, outscoring the Mets 15-9 in those 2 matchups. After that, we return home to Chase Field for a 3-game series with the division opponent. The San Francisco Giants come to town. Keeping up the hot streak, the D-backs win the first 2 games and seal the series win. But alas, we're not able to complete the sweep and drop Game 3 3-9 behind a dismal performance by Jordan Montgomery, who gave up 6 runs on 7 hits in only 2 innings of work, man. After that short home stint, we travel west to face another division opponent in the San Diego Padres and another 4-game series. A great opportunity to gain some momentum in the division. The Diamondbacks would squeak out a win in Game 1 4-3 that was highlighted by a Paul Sewald save, his 7th of the season. The Snakes would go on to lose the next 2 in the series, in which the D-backs were outscored 23-4. And in the final game of our recap, the Diamondbacks were able to avoid that sweep with a strong performance, beating the Padres 9-3, which was highlighted by a stellar 6-run second inning. Once again, the Diamondbacks are holding the line, hovering around that 500 mark on the season. A lot of fans are wondering if this is it, or if we'll see a run here reminiscent of the 2023 Diamondbacks. But I got to know what VSP Tallman has been seeing these last 2 weeks, so we'll pass it over to him now to share his thoughts.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know if I want to say it, but we might just have a bad baseball team right now. And I'm going to clarify. Right now, who we're putting out on the field, who's our starting pitching rotation, makes us a bad baseball team. I mean, 2 out of our projected 5 starting pitchers, Brandon Pfaadt, Jordan Montgomery, they're not pitching that great. They've not had a great last 2 weeks. And the guys that we're filling in between, they're just not doing the job as well. So we can't expect this team to win enough baseball games to get into the playoffs, into the postseason with who we're running out there right now. So I'm going to sound like the broken record again. This is a bad team until we get help, until we get those guys back from injury, because right now it's not sustainable. We talk about the record, 5 games under 500. We're 1 out of a wild card position. But if this is all we got, we're hanging on by a thread right now. It's not going to last. And to think of a stat, in the last 2 weeks, no starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks has recorded a win. It's just crazy. You know, it's an inconsistent ball club right now. I want to highlight a couple of the series here. That Tigers series at home, where they came out in the first 2 games and just kicked our ass. Granted, we rebounded. We saved that last game of the series to get a win. And then going to New York. What's going on? Why can't we play baseball in New York? You know, we're going to play the Mets. We're like, cool, this is going to be our get right time. The Mets are literally in shambles. They're melting down. We were the next team to play them after their pitcher threw his glove into the stands. So we go into New York. We lose the first 2 games, but we were resilient. We were able to split that series and get 2 wins there. But then the Padres, the most recent, just this past weekend. You know, we had a great game yesterday on Sunday, but that game on Friday and Saturday, it was like, where is everybody? You know, it's just inconsistent, and that might be the word of the season so far. That's our vocab word of the first couple months of this baseball season is, where are the bats? we don't got him, And then I want to touch on Jordan Montgomery. I feel so stupid. If you remember our season preview, I was drinking the Montgomery Kool-Aid, man. I was like, this is what I'm so excited about. I can't believe they pulled this off. Yeah, 1 year, 25 million. Okay, great. But he was, one of the best pitchers in the league last year. He's going to fit like a glove in this rotation. This team is going to be built with starting pitching. That was going to be this team's identity, right, for this season. And it's just been nothing but the opposite, and he's sporting a 6.80 ERA on the season. The guy is just struggling. You mentioned he only lasted 2 innings. He's throwing meatballs right now. He's giving me Mad Bum vibes, which I don't want to compare him to that because they're not nearly the same age. But I'm not ready to give up on him right now. But he's the guy that we should be relying on. We're down Gallen. We're down Kelly. Montgomery is supposed to be our fill-in ace right now, but he's doing everything but the opposite of that. And the other one's Geno Suarez. If you remember one of our early on recaps, I selected Geno Suarez as my player of the recap. And I swear, ever since that recap, he's done nothing but just be absolutely terrible, be an automatic out at the plate. The guy, he's got good defense, but he's just not getting it done offensively. So I have a new rule. There might be a Tallman curse. I don't know. I'm just going to stop giving anyone praise because whenever I do, I just look stupid and they just end up having a terrible time. Anyway, Geno Suarez, now they're talking about getting rid of him, trying to trade him, trying to, get him out of that lineup. I know Carroll passed him in batting average. Suarez is under the Mendoza line. He's batting like 200 on the season, but that goes right into these tough roster decisions that this team's going to have to make. Jake McCarthy's kicking ass. Kevin Newman's been one of our best offensive players this last month. You can't send those guys down to get a roster position for Perdomo or for Alec Thomas. Granted, we know Perdomo is already back. He's going to play in this next series. They sent Pavin Smith down, but who's going down? Who are we losing to get Alec Thomas back? So maybe that's Geno Suarez, right? But some good stuff. I mean, it looks like Corbin Carroll's finally figured it out somewhat. He's not looking absolutely terrible like he has to start the season. Gurriel's waking up a little bit. We're seeing some of his power again. And then how about the bullpen? Specifically those top bullpen guys. That's been the only bright spot of this team. Is Thompson, Ginkel, Sewald, even Justin Martinez. I mean, those guys have been absolutely holding it down for this team. And that just proves, going back to that stat, no starting pitchers won a game in the last 2 weeks. So I don't know. I'm not putting the nails in the coffin yet. I mean, we're 1 game out of that wild card position. We have some promising series coming up. We've said that before, like when we went to New York, like when we went to Miami to play the Marlins, who basically sold the farm early on in the season. So, but still, it's promising. We're playing 2 of the worst teams in the American League. We got the Angels coming up, White Sox coming up. I know you're going to say that here soon, so I apologize for that. But we need to capitalize on these series because go ahead, scroll into July, what the schedule looks like. We're playing some of the best teams in the league, and it's only going to get really tough from here. So let's get it. I'm optimistic still. A little bit.
As Michael Benjamin would say, we're not too high, we're not too low. I mean, guys, this is a 500 baseball team, and right now we're under 500. So, I mean, does that mean we're bad? No, maybe not. Does that mean we're good? No, absolutely not. But with all these injuries that we've talked about all season long, it's been really hard to see what this team is truly made of. I mean, you didn't even mention Eduardo Rodriguez, who hasn't had a single start yet this season. If we can get him healthy and some of these other guys rolling, maybe there's a chance, but there's a reason we haven't been doing player of the recap is because no player has been able to consistently put together a good performance over a 2-week span. So what, are we going to pick Corbin Carroll for finally having a pretty decent 2 weeks, batting .271 with 13 hits, 3 RBIs and 10 runs? I mean, finally he's over 200 on the season, but guys, this guy should be batting 250 plus consistently. There are just going to be so many questions for what we do with this team. Like you mentioned, the trading Suarez rumors, Montgomery struggling. He's sporting a 6.80 ERA, 2-4 record in 9 games started. It's just a really tricky situation I think the D-backs are in right now. But on the other hand, they have had some guys step up and play well, like the Jake McCarthys and the Kevin Newmans of the world. And now Jake McCarthy's name is getting brought up in trade rumors. So the Diamondbacks are just going to have a lot of tough decisions to make. Today we saw Pavin Smith get optioned to AAA Reno. I mean, we didn't even talk about his pinch hit walk-off home run against the Giants, a 3-run blast for the game. it's what you like to see. It's fun, but Pavin Smith, we know, isn't going to be one of the studs in our daily rotation, being able to put up that kind of performance every time. I'm just really curious where this team goes from here. Will they be able to get healthy? But you're right. There are a lot of games left. We're not even at the All-Star break. I think we're about a month and a half out. And so we'll have to see what moves are made before the deadline, if any, whether we're buyers or sellers. I'm sure we're going to talk about that on the Heat Check podcast this month. But until then, let's show you the slate coming up in the next 2 weeks. The Diamondbacks will be home for the first 2 series, taking on the Angels and the White Sox for 3 games apiece. Next, we'll head east for 3-game series against the Nationals and the Phillies. But make sure you come right back here in 2 weeks because we're going to keep bringing you a Diamondbacks recap throughout the season. So make sure you like and subscribe for more Arizona Diamondbacks and Valley Sports action. For VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Moreno gets the run home, and it's 5-2. Abby's second hit and second RBI tonight. And here's Lourdes 0 for 3. Gurriel drives it to left, and it's off the wall. Here comes Cattell. They're going to wave Gabby. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. It's 7-2.